you into for fun this past week or so?
You can't drag me anywhere. I don't want to go.
Very sweet of you to be.
Good one, Ray.
I got to tell you, man, and I'll say this. I've said this about our clients, a lot of our clients. It's great when you have a guy, like, a guy, right? So when it comes to car crashes and stuff, Glenn's our guy.
Glenn,
Like
yeah.
when we have air, Mills is our guy. When I have issues around my house, family issues, real estate issues that just need somebody I can ask a question to clarify my thought process, my man, you come through for me in spades. You kill it for me. And we know a lot of people that can have a lot of information, but to be able to just punch a text over to you and go, dude, I got an issue. What can we do here?
I appreciate you saying that. It makes me feel much better about my job. And sometimes it's not always as rainbows and sunshine as you're making it sound, but it's good when you've got good clients. It makes my job a little bit easier.
Well, buddy, I got to tell you, it's just nice to have somebody I knew I could lean on for that particular situation. It turned out to be a great help. I appreciate it greatly.
Does it get a little uncomfortable when he's just dousing you with all the sprays?
It's not the praise that's making me uncomfortable. He's playing footsie with me underneath the table, and that's what's really making me uncomfortable.
Well, don't consider it special because he does it with all our guests.
I knew it.
Old Jimmy Longtoes.
But I do want to say you look very pretty. I saw you last week on television on one of our big screens out here. You were on TV. The sound wasn't up. I don't know what you were saying, but you look great.
What were you TVing about?
So we've been doing a pro bono event. Pro bono is just like free legal advice that we do, and we do a lot of individual pro bono events, but we host an event that we've hosted several times now. And so it was recognition for that. And actually, for that same event, I got a letter from the Florida Supreme Court today thanking me for my pro bono service. So like that was all unexpected. Nobody told me about any of that stuff. It was just kind of like an after the fact, hey, you're doing a good job, so here you go.
And isn't it great to hear that? I mean, it is one of the small pleasures in life is just somebody saying, hey, man, just a heads up. You did a really good job. I appreciate it.
It was really cool. And you guys know it's taken me some time to get used to being on the air. And I don't know, on YouTube if that considered to be TV. But Megan Clementi was the host that was asking me questions. And she is such a professional.
This is the former Miss Florida, is it not?
Former Miss Florida. And she was watching her. Was absolutely remarkable. It's like watching you guys do your job.
She's fantastic.
I get exhausted watching you guys do your thing.
Yeah. Megan's a pro. She's been in the game a while, too, man. We had her back in the day when she was with the Magic.
Yeah.
She is a stone-cold killer and beautiful and smart.
So smart.
Yeah.
So surprisingly smart. And I don't mean to say that in a negative way, but
not what you're expecting.
She was so articulate,
right? Yeah.
And so thoughtful and methodical. It was just very impressive. And when I first introduced myself to her, she was talking about like her kids and like how stressful it is getting them ready in the morning. And I'm like, I know that. And then she turns it on, and instantly, I'm like, it would have taken me 3 cups of coffee to get there. It was amazing.
I love it. Ray is an attorney here in Central Florida handling myriad of issues, whether it be the issue we have with real estate and contract law. We just had a disagreement with there, which I'll tell that story when Ray, maybe next Monday or the Monday after, we can clear a couple things. But just a few glances at this contract kind of confirm what we were thinking, and everything's good. So good to have somebody.
Quick programming note. If you're watching us on YouTube, they dropped the feed. We restarted it again, so you just have to find us again. YouTube, Jim Colbert Show. We are live again on YouTube.
So that's TK Law, offices Altamont. OneFirmForLife.com is where we can find you guys.
That's right.
And again, did just an absolute stellar job for me. Just 1 or 2 letters is all it took to kind of get this situation cleared up, to let them know we were not effing around, that we were serious about what we were saying. And this confirms the seriousness of what we were saying. And it's just amazing how much power that has. And, people... I'm cheap. I'm very frugal, right? But I do know where to spend money and when it's wisely spent. And the money to spend for an attorney to write a letter and just let everybody know that you're not blanking around that's some of the best money I've ever spent.
It can resolve a lot of issues that way.
It can, dude.
At any point in the letter, does it say F around and find out?
No, we actually have an Exhibit A, which is just a picture of Jimmy's face, and then that's exactly what it says with the blurb. Yeah.
FAFO, baby, FAFO. All right, what do you got for us this week?
So you guys were talking about that Netflix special, Baby Reindeer.
Yeah.
And boy, is that an interesting story.
It is. And so I emailed you about that today. I didn't know if you had something, but listen, man. So Jack, I don't know if you've heard the story, right? She's suing.
Right.
Okay, she's suing. And everybody's like, well, she's crazy. I saw the interview with Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan, yeah.
There's no question. I mean, you know the attorney thing. When he asked her, will it be okay for prosecutors to go through your computer and your phone? What does she do? Immediately looks down and to the right.
Got a low cagey.
And as attorneys and anybody you know, usually if you're lying, the first thing that happens is you look down and sometimes to the right. That is a thing, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree. So there are definitely some markers that maybe she wasn't telling the truth or the whole truth. You know, here's what I will say. The whole story is just a little bit off to me. I don't know if it... Did you watch the special on Netflix?
The entire thing, all the way through it.
Oh, you got through more than I did. But the story itself just seems a little off.
But the problem they said, though, this is what Piers Morgan said. He said this on national television. He thinks they have a real problem. Netflix, Gad, the guy who wrote it, and the producer of the show, because they say unequivocally right up front, this is a true story.
Right.
Not based on a true story, not partially a true story. This is a true story. When you tell me it's a true story, I think everything after you make that statement, every syllable is true. It happened. It's actual. Well, now, I guess there is a possibility and some claims that part of this story isn't true, that she didn't go to jail for stalking, that there's some other issues of this that maybe don't line up with what they're trying to sell on Baby Reindeer, which would be a massive, massive slander libel issue.
For me, the criminal prosecution is the one thing that would be the easiest to prove and one that would be pretty damning when it comes to the defamation claims. And again, I don't know what the law is over there, because I think she's Scottish.
Yes.
And the guy, the Gad, the comedian, is English, and I'm not sure where she's living now. But for me, that is one of those ones where it would be very easy to disprove, number one. And number two, you could definitely see how that would negatively impact somebody's perception in society, how that could negatively impact their career. You know, because everybody who meets her, whether it's a job interview or a client or whatever the case may be, is going to be aware of this story, and they're going to at least question whether or not it's authentic.
She claims already to have had harassing calls, had threats. She's already claiming that.
But they didn't know her name. People had to go research it and find out who it was. She made herself public by being on Piers Morgan. So is there... I mean,
that's a great question.
Yeah, can the claim be made? Say you made this problem worse.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because Piers kind of mentioned that a little bit. Like, hey, you're the one who reached out to us with your lawyer and asked to do this interview. I do think that is a little bit of a problem. I don't like the fact that she went on Piers Morgan at all.
Right.
I felt like if she kept her cards close to her vest and didn't defend herself publicly, I think she would have a better lawsuit.
And that's what she said she was doing, right? She felt that she had to defend herself because she'd been outed. Now, she doesn't mention how she was outed because, of course, she's the one who told everybody who she was.
Right.
But I think she actually did make some kind of statement saying that she'd been found out.
She did say that people, because of their likeness or whatever, that people found her and knew it was her and knew it only could be her. And again, there were some parts of her story that didn't make sense either. This definitely seems like a situation where Netflix paid probably good money for this story, and that they're known for that. And now everybody's chasing to see who they can make the most money off of.
Let me tell you something. If they had to pay her $1 million to go away, it would be pence to what they're going to make on this show and what it's made. And what they're going to, I mean, it would be nothing. I mean, you
got to let it linger in the news cycle.
Yeah. Exactly. But when I saw the story, I was like, wow, man. And I agree with you. I'm like, this is just me. Again, I don't know how businesses run in England. I don't know how pubs are. But I would think that if you're in a business and there's a woman following around an employee all day long at your business, which is exactly what they said happened.
Right.
Little spoiler here, by the way. Which is, she was basically, when you say stalking, I mean, everybody doesn't think that she was calling occasionally. She was sending hundreds of email a day.
Oh, I think she sent like over 41,000 emails.
It was like 700 a day.
In such a short amount of time. It was crazy.
It was crazy. But if you're an employee, like you imagine you're working at any restaurant. And then every day this woman comes in, doesn't really buy anything, and then harasses you as an employee all day. How long do you think that was last? I mean, I know she was thrown out a couple of times. My God. Apparently they had it like she was doing this every day for weeks.
I don't know. I think at some point you trespass her, right? Who wants somebody coming in and just mooching every day, That's basically what I do every Monday. And
But we
We're not
allow
getting paid
it.
for this? What?
what? So, again, there's some bits and pieces of the story because she says that wasn't true at all. And again, that seems like one of those things that'd be easy enough to prove.
Do they have a Baker Act like that in England? Do they have a situation like that in England where if somebody is a harm to themselves, you can basically call authorities and have them come kind of check out to make sure they're not going to hurt themselves?
You think they would have to, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the greater emphasis on mental health issues in general.
And if it's true what she did at the end of the movie for that long period of time, and I'm not going to say it again, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen the series, not a movie, but a series, she does something for a very, very long time that you wouldn't think that would just go unnoticed.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a little odd.
Yeah.
But I think Netflix is going to be in the crosshairs. And again, this is where I thought this was an interesting point, is Netflix kind of came out the gate and was always kind of this way. They want to get different perspective. They want to do it a little differently. And so this is kind of one of those ones where, do they have an obligation to more diligently research some of these stories and some of these programs that they are buying and then obviously making into shows. And I think that this might be one of those things that changes the way Netflix does business, especially with how huge this is.
Well, I mean, you would think that a company like that would have a research department that when this guy comes up or they see the Friends show, which is exactly what happened. This was a Friends show in Edinburgh. And somebody saw it and they go, hey, look, this is a really cool story. Could we make something out of this? He sells the story. You would think they would have a department that would go back and fact check some of this, find some people who maybe saw this happening or some witnesses that would be able to corroborate that this guy went through these issues. Some of this stuff is not you can't because it was personal between the two of them.
Right.
But there is a giant apparently a giant email chain. I don't think anybody really questions that she sent this guy an inordinate amount of email or text messages. But, at what point does it become nefarious? At what point does it become a crime?
Well, in recent years, at least in Florida, we've included in our stalking statute cyber stalking for things exactly like this.
Really?
Yeah.
So give me a question. So, okay, how many emails have to be sent to me to consider it a problem?
So I had a case where there was, I'd say maybe 15 to 20 text messages of yourself and what we did kind of thing.
Okay, that's an odd take. You let me do to you. Hey, you should never let me put it there.
I think you've said those words before.
But there's like maybe 15 to 20 text messages a day. Some of them were responded to, some of them weren't responded to. It was more the emails to the work email that was the bigger issue for the court.
Let me ask you this. I mean, that's interesting because there are people out there dating people who may be a little bit sketchy. I mean, it's an attorney. I mean, if you start getting harassing emails after a relationship has ended, whether it be business, at what point do you start seeking maybe, hey, look, this is abnormal, and do you ever respond?
Yeah, so my normal recommendation for that, assuming there's not a safety issue, if there's a safety issue, you go get immediate emergency help. But the first thing is you send them something that's very clear, very plain. I don't wish to continue to have this conversation with you.
Do not contact me anymore.
Do not contact me anymore. There's no legitimate purpose to this conversation continuing. I'm not interested, right? A very clear, unequivocal, I don't want to talk to you anymore. After that, if they still continue to get responses, one, make sure you're documenting everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, you probably need to escalate. So that's when, you mentioned the letter from a lawyer. That becomes a very popular tactic that I like to suggest to say, hey, maybe they don't know that the law says.
Right, like a cease and desist kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah, so here's some education. Here's how the law works. You might want to avoid continuing to do this. If you continue to do this, this is not a threat, we will take appropriate legal action.
Do you write that as, like, if this is going to a guy?
Yeah.
Do you write that as a guy to a guy thing, or is it all legalese? Isn't like, hey man, and I'm not saying like this does it have the vibe of like, hey man, by the way, this isn't cool, and what you're doing is really scaring the complete hell out of this woman, and you might want to quit, because if you don't quit, we're going to have to take some legal action to make sure that you understand how serious we are about that. Does it get like that, or is it all just legalese?
No, so I definitely frame the issue, because what you want to do is, this is ultimately going to be used as evidence in court if necessary, right? So I definitely frame the issue in a way that obviously is factually correct, but represents my client's interests. But I do always throw out there that this is what the law says, and if you got questions, go talk to a lawyer. And, if you need to notify me how you're going to comply, that's fine. And if they call, sometimes I'll just say, hey, listen, dude, like, you seem like a really nice guy. You're coming off a little creepy.
Right. This is not a good look, brother.
And I do try to, bridge the gap there because it can be intimidating, scary, whatever, we're talking to a lawyer. But it's like, listen, man, like, this is just not something that is going to go well in your favor. And I've had these issues before, and this is how it turns out.
Right, yeah.
And if you don't want to go down that path, and then if they continue, then it's pretty clear that there's something wrong, that they just can't get it.
If they hire you, if someone hires you and you have a situation like this, is it your legal obligation to tell them that, maybe they need to seek help? Or, hey, look, or anything like that? Is it? I mean, do you have to kind of get that on paper? Like, look, according to what I'm seeing and I'm reading from you, maybe there's a possibility you need to talk to a therapist. I mean, do you get to go that far, or is it case by case nature?
As a lawyer, I think everybody should go to a therapist.
That's
it's a
not
lot,
bad advice.
It's a lot cheaper than going to a lawyer to handle these disputes.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't have a legal obligation to do so, and I really try not to in any way judge people, whether I'm on one side or the other.
But this, like, if you did this to me, if like say I broke up with somebody and I was really into them and they broke up with me and I was heartbroken and I couldn't take it, and I'm like, oh, and I kept texting, come on, or, is there no way, and then she came to you and then you called me and like, hey man, I'm just gonna give you a heads up here.
Yes.
She's not into it anymore. She's hired me to make sure that that you understand that the relationship is over. She doesn't want to hear from you anymore.
I had one case where it was a young couple, like 19 and 18 years old.
Damn, really?
And it fell under the cyber stalking statute, and it was very much like, hey, listen, this is how breakups happen. Like, I understand you got in a relationship for 3 years, and like that's a lot.
Yeah, but you don't want to add this to that.
That's right. And the parents were telling the kid the same thing, and I was telling him the same thing, and it didn't turn out well for him, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Just not a listener, huh?
Here's the answer: the court saw it, everybody saw it. He just couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those situations where you got to get the help when you can get it, but sometimes it's hard. Like, breaking up sucks.
It does, and again, if it's yeah, it just sucks. Like, and you can't control how it happens. You can't control how people will react to it. And I would think a lot of these women and men, for that matter, who get into situations like this, maybe kind of know it's coming a little bit, and maybe that's what's spurred on what's causing what's happening already.
Yeah, some people just spin out of control, and it's really the hardest thing for me as a lawyer to deal with, because I just want to help you,
right?
And I got the solution, I got the answer. We just got to follow this path a little bit further.
Sure.
And most people do get it. Honestly, most people do get it. We're able to, get a resolution that everybody's happy with. But that's why I say there's something odd about this baby reindeer story. There's some fact that's missing on both of their parts. That just, it doesn't sit well with me. There's something that I think is missing.
And quickly here, because we got to get out of here, but I did want to ask you, is the burden, and when you say from the onset, this is a true story, is there a sliding scale of how true? I mean, let's say it happened in a grocery store, but they put it in a pub, or
sometimes it says based on a true story.
Right.
Sometimes it says this is a true story.
Understood, right? I mean, how much of it? Like, does it have to be 90% exact, or?
I think there's a problem when you say that this is a true story, because the way I understand this is a true story is this is exactly how it happened.
Right. According to their memory of it.
Yeah. I mean, everything's colored by your perception, but I think that that's a problem, right? If it's based on a true story, I think you get a little bit more leeway.
But doesn't it get into a he said, she said thing? Like, if most of the interaction or dialogue happens between just two people and there are no records of it, which we know there are tons, but I mean, there could be a lot of that stuff that was just said on the phone or said personally that would never have a record of it being said.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it kind of weird. Like, when you have a he said, she said, you don't really know what the truth is, really.
That's why, again, that's part of why I think there's something else that we don't know yet, because she's got to feel, because she's got to say that you're making these false assertions against me. He then has to present this evidence, say, no, it's the truth.
Right.
There's just something that just doesn't sit right. I mean, there's a fact that we're missing.
I agree. I think we're going to hear more about that as well.
I do too.
All right, 407-916-1041. Text us 770-31. Back in a sec with, we'll get the hell out of here on a Monday. We'll do that right after this.
Real Radio is on Threads at Real Radio 1041. Sponsored by the law offices of Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Have you been in an accident? Call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
This weather report is brought to you by Mills Air.
What's up, everybody? Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Noah Bergman here. A blend of clouds and some sunshine for Tuesday. A couple of pop-up thunder showers in the afternoon on the sea breeze, upper 80s. 90 Wednesday, low 90s Thursday, mid to high 90s Friday, Saturday. Maybe a couple of weekend thunder showers, but to be honest, there's no sign of any substantial, organized, or widespread rain or precip system across Florida, at least central Florida, for the foreseeable future.
This report is sponsored by Total Wine & More. Always find what you love at Total Wine & More. With so many bottles at the lowest prices in 30 years, it's easy to find your favorite Cabernet or a new single-barrel bourbon to try. Find what you love and love what you find. Total Wine & More. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. B21.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
My wife and I both, we ended up mildly sick for a few months, and the nasal congestion was probably the worst part. I had like a post-nasal drip, just super congested all the time. We were taking everything we possibly could, but nothing really worked.
Kyrie was miserable until a friend recommended Navage. Navage offers immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Don't live in misery this cold season. Use Navage so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
The biggest thing Navage has done has completely cleaned out my nasal passages. It was from the first use. I was able to just clear out anything that was stopping me from breathing correctly. Navage helps me clear the way, literally clear the way, for me to operate better in the rest of my life.
Experience the Navage difference yourself. Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E.
Did you know that your largest investment asset might not be your retirement account or home? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. Most people don't realize that their life insurance policy is actually an asset they can sell. But for almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. We've even created a free policy value calculator at abacuspays.com so you can find out in seconds what we might pay for your policy. There are no fees and no obligations, just information. Knowing the value of your life insurance policy is as important as knowing the value of your home, your equity portfolio, or your finances in total. Discover the valuable information you need to understand the current market value for your life insurance, and then get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Visit abacuspays.com to learn more and use our free policy value calculator today.
Okay, this contract looks good to me. Let me just run it by my lawyer.
Everyone knows that having a good lawyer on hand can be a real game changer, which is why Legal Shield connects you to a vetted law firm in your state for a low monthly fee. Only Legal Shield has been providing this kind of legal peace of mind for over 50 years. Need an experienced set of eyes on that fine print? With Legal Shield, you can say,
let me run it by my lawyer.
Is the dealership giving you a hassle about warranty repairs?
I guess we'll have to talk to our lawyer.
And for that will you've been putting off, you can finally tell your family.
We're good. I had our lawyer take care of it.
Legal Shield isn't AI bots. It's a dedicated group of real lawyers who have your back, no matter what the future brings, all for around the price of those streaming services you don't watch anymore. Sign up at LegalShield.com/radio today. PPLSI does not provide legal representation or advice. See a plan for complete terms.
Dive into the weird, wonderful, scary, or sad with Stuff You Missed in History Class, a podcast spotlighting history that didn't get enough attention. From divorce ranches,
when we say it was easier to obtain the divorce, it was a lot easier,
to mysterious death.
I love a little unsolved historical murder. They're fun.
Listen to Stuff You Missed in History Class on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Stuff You Missed in History Class and start listening.
Need help navigating your will or trust? Visit onefirmforlife.com today for your free consultation.
Stay tuned to the Jim Colbert Show as we demonstrate our attitude of gratitude. Our thank you segment is sponsored by Life Imaging FLA. Now open. Call pound 250 keyword heart scan. Hey, so apparently Facebook is still a thing. Search Jim members and join our group.
After 2 amazing shows this past weekend at the Orlando International Fringe Festival, Corsets and Cuties is back this upcoming weekend with 2 shows of Drip at the Dust in downtown Orlando. Tickets are $15. You can get them online at orlandofringe.org. Come on down and see us Friday and Saturday at Drip with the Cuties.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I want to promote Ross and Joel's 10 sketches out at Orlando Fringe. It is hilarious. You have to go see this. Don't be the person that says, oh, I wish I would have went out and saw it. Go see it. You're going to have a wonderful time. My wife and I did. Joel, what a performer.
Yeah.
Ross, of course, he nails it. It's hilarious. And yeah, I work out at NASA, and noontime will never be the same.
Oh.
You'll know after you see the show.
Okay, that's quite a hint.
Yeah, all right. 407-916-1041. Text us 77031. We do have another keyword for you at the top of the hour. The guys from Tom and Dan will have that for you as well. Welcome back. I'm Jim. There's Deb.
Hello.
Jack is here.
Hi.
Ray Trindley joins us as well.
Hi.
Good seeing you, Ray. As always, we got to get out of here in a second. Let's do You Heard It Here first.
It's time for You Heard It Here First on the Jim Colbert Show.
Yeah, the New York prosecution is resting its case in Donald Trump's hush money trial. Earlier today, ex-Trump lawyer Michael Cohen admitted on the stand he stole $30,000 from the Trump organization. The defense is now calling its witnesses. Cohen is the prosecutor's key witness who they say was behind the alleged payments to adult actress Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about an alleged sexual encounter with Trump in 2006. Trump is accused of falsifying business records in connection with the payments. An Ocala man is facing 2 counts of aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer after being shot Sunday by police in Ocala during a mental health crisis.
Oh, wow, that sucks.
23-year-old David LaPierre is recovering after multiple surgeries. He was armed with a knife and spraying officers with bear spray.
Okay.
Deputy Police Chief Lou Biondi says, hey, they didn't want to have to shoot the man.
Up in the morning saying, this is the day I'm going to use lethal force on somebody. But yes, they did everything by their training and by protocol for this incident.
Yeah, because before the incident, LaPierre had run away as his family tried to check him into a mental health clinic.
Yeah.
And then finally, speaking about mental health, Britney Spears.
Oh, boy.
Is reportedly in danger of hurting herself or others.
Ooh.
According to TMZ, several people in Spears' life are, quote, scared for her, end quote, and think another conservatorship is necessary. They added that Spears' mental health has been suffering since her conservatorship ended, and she is not taking her meds.
You telling me that the general public didn't know better about this woman than the people who raised her? Is that what you're telling me?
You heard it here first on the Jim Colbert Show.
Shocking.
It's a really sad story, though.
It is a sad story because the general public swayed a conservatorship that was keeping that girl in her own sanity.
Yeah.
And now, man, yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go. You heard it here first right here.
Good Lord of mercy. Well, Ray, again, it's always good seeing you, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
That's onefirmforlife.com. TK Law. Office is right there in Altamont Springs. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. If you need somebody, you need a reassuring voice when you're having an issue in your life that you just simply don't know about it. These guys can really get you some good advice, moving you in the right direction. And you just can't imagine how much that helps. You just simply can't imagine how much that helps. Just somebody in the know going, you need to move this way right here. And then you can just point all your efforts that way. Unbelievable service. Great job, buddy. Let's see.
And he looks good on TV.
He does look good on TV. Deb, who do we have to thank today?
Well, apart from friendly attorney Ray Trindley of TK Law, onefirmforlife.com, we also want to thank Brandon Kravitz from our sister station, 96.9 The Game. And last but never least, Sam Bowen and Candace Rich for running that YouTube chat.
Yeah, YouTube had some challenges today. That's on them, not us. We restarted it, but we did get a question posted. Have you ever or do you currently work for the government? Where do you think it falls, Jim?
27% of our audience works for the government.
Is he donging it? Whoa. Wait. You even got the special ending.
Exactly?
27%.
Wow!
27%.
Nailed it.
You should go get some lottery tickets.
I'll be taking tomorrow off, guys. All right, let's get
More
the hell out of
moving
here.
to do?
Yeah, no, you won't.
God, no. God almighty, no.
Unpacking?
Not even one light box anymore. I'm done with it. It killed me. Absolutely killed me. It was so bad. Almost dropped. Oh, I can't even tell you. I'll tell you maybe tomorrow. Who knows? The
trauma.
We just bought this classic piece of furniture we looked for months to find. Almost dropped it unloading it. I'd have just packed my truck and left. I would have been like, that's it. I'm done. All right, let's get the hell out of here, Jack. Got a big show coming up tomorrow. What'd you do that's new? We'll go over Jack's suggestion, over C-Lane's suggestion.
Yeah.
And I already have one for you guys I think you're going to love, something I've been obsessed with for many, many years.
Oh, no.
Plus your calls, texts, and callbacks, and 4 more opportunities for you to win $1,000.
We're going to learn more about Worcestershire sauce.
On behalf of Deb, Jack, and Ray, I'm Jim. We follow the News Junkie. They follow the Monsters of the Morning after us. It's Tom and Dan with the Corporate Time, and our friends from Real Laughs. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 for more of the Jim Colbert Show. Until then, have yourself a fantastic Monday evening, and stay tuned to win that $1,000. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan is coming up next on Real Radio 104.1.